Well, if you're an overwhelmed leader, you've heard that other people find success with services and different kinds of help, particularly executive administrative support, but you think to yourself, that's a dream world. Somebody else gets that. I don't have that kind of luxury in my life. I don't have those kinds of things. Those things don't happen for me. This pod is for you. Today's episode is a conversation with Tim Pearring, who is a pastor, a coach. His church launched a coffee house recently. He is also involved in a church planting network, and he's got a lot of kids. I think I called him a gaggle in our pre-recording conversation. So he's got a big family, lots of responsibility, lots going on. And if you're one of those leaders saying, well, it's nice for those people who get to have the luxury of an assistant, that it works for them, but it could never work for me because I don't even know where to start. This is a conversation for you. Enjoy. Hey, thanks for Tim for joining the podcast today. I appreciate you coming on, even though I know you haven't even gone on your father's podcast yet, and he keeps asking you, and you came on mine first. So I just want to brag for a moment that your dad couldn't get you on his podcast, but somehow you end up here. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Yes, and he can talk to you about what it would take to get me. Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit like what do they say about James, the brother of Jesus? What would it take for you to believe that your brother is the Messiah? You'd probably have to predict your own death, die and raise from the dead. That would be what it takes. That's what it's going to take for you to get off onto his podcast, I think.
Something.
Yeah. So tell me, introduce yourself. Like, you're a pastor, you're a coach, you're doing all kinds of stuff. You got a big family. You guys have a coffee house. It's a lot of things going on in your life. Tell us about your life, context for your life.
Context for my life. Yeah. So been married 20 years. We have 9 kids. From 20, the oldest, 9 months is our youngest. So we've got a lot going on at home, homeschool, all of them. My wife works from home. We've got kind of a crazy, but we make it work. On that front, I pastor a local church in Elk Grove, California, Journey Church. And in October of 2025, as the church, we launched a 6-day-a-week coffee shop out of our facility, which is totally just community focused. So the community doesn't necessarily even know there's a church tied into it. They just experience the coffee shop. And then also I do coaching, both leadership coaching and church plant coaching in the mix there also. So I've got a few different things happening.
Yeah, you have a full plate there. My question really about the homeschooling your own kids. At one point, do you graduate the 20-year-old?
I hope so. One day. I see you a couple of years ago.
Stop, just mess with you. But that's awesome. I mean, that's a lot of work. Just on the home side, that's a lot of work. But then having on top of it, ministry, business, consulting, you travel for some of that stuff as well. So there's a lot of complicated parts to Tim and everything that you're involved in. So I know that can be overwhelming at times, but you seem to have a system and a way to do it that's not so overwhelming. So that's good.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, how did you, what first prompted our conversation about possibly needing executive assistant support?
I knew who you were. So you're a familiar contact. And my dad, he's been talking a while about, I've got to watch firsthand him have some EA support, some good ones and bad ones. And then I know he started working with you few years before me, and he had just some great success with some people that he could count on that were making things happen. And then we were at Accelerate. I don't even know which one it was, but you were there as one of the sponsors, and you gave, I don't know, 2 minutes. I think you told a story or something about one of your clients, and I just resonated with some of that. Wouldn't that be nice? And then we just had a conversation, and I knew I historically have not been incredibly successful with my hires, and I didn't even have time to navigate that whole thing. And one of the things that was attractive is that you were the one that were kind of vet and figure that out. And I remember a call. I was expecting this to be like a 3-month process, and you were like instantly, I got somebody for you. So you made it as easy as possible. where I was kind of testing the waters, you made it like happen right away.
Yeah. So, I don't promise a time frame, but if I have the right connection, then it just goes, right? And if I don't have the right connection, then I'm gonna go find the right connection. That's the part that could take a while. I already had someone in mind right after we started talking. So that made a lot of sense. Tell me about kind of the when you first began working with Katie.
So kind of the tricky part is I didn't entirely know what I needed. I just knew I needed help.
Yeah.
And kind of as we've been talking about, I've got a lot of different domains in which I dabble with. I wasn't sure like how to even invite her into
Uh,
help with some of those things. So we kind of started like with just some of the basic stuff, and it was great that her experience actually like was greater than mine in a lot of the things that I was like asking for help with, which made it really easy, just like pretty quickly to trust her to run with some of those things. And everything that she took care of quicker than I was expecting and in ways I didn't even know were possible. So it was like one area at a time. And then I feel like over the last year and a half, it's been the next thing. Okay, this is kind of under control. Let me ask for help with this. And I don't really have super clear asks because I don't necessarily know what I need. I just know like, hey, this seems to be like a point of tension. How can you solve this? And she's been good at rolling with that and figuring out kind of who are some of the other local players on our team that we could get involved in as well to not just solve a temporary thing, but like implement a system that's sustainable. So that's been kind of what that relationship's looked like.
Yeah. So you started not knowing where you were going to utilize this person, just that you knew you needed help, and you were hoping this would be a solution that would work. And then quickly you saw her experience and that she could actually take things on, like really do them. And that was a relief, right?
Yeah.
And over time, you've released more things. I think that's how it generally happens. People don't have a like long list of, okay, I need this, 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 this. If they do, that's great, but most people don't. And that's just not where a lot of people live. Most people live in the gray where they're like, I know these things need to happen. I'm not really sure how. And I'm not even sure I want to be in the minutia of figuring out how.
Yeah.
So if somebody else wants to do that, that would be great. That seems to be more common for people than having all your ducks in a row so that you know exactly what someone's going to do. That's just the experience I see most of the time.
Yeah, that's what it's been.
Yeah. So what are some of the over time you also like gave away different things, this system was built and implemented and then you kind of moved on to this system. What are some examples of some of those things that have been implemented?
One of the when it comes to like our church CRM or whatever, we were Planning Center and PushPay were the two like big things. And PushPay has like, I don't know, CB or whatever they're calling it these days, which covers some of this. And so she, kind of said, hey, that kind of is confusing if you have too many logins. So what if we merge the two? Which to me is like beyond overwhelming. Like, I don't want to hear that. Yeah. But I was like, great. That would be a great outcome. I don't know how to do that. And she totally made that happen. Eased us off of Planning Center in such a way that people were not upset about it. People actually felt more equipped with the way that she trained them on the new system than they ever even understood about the old one. So that was great. And then even today, I got a text from her that she is like onboarded some of the leaders onto that. So honestly, like I don't even log into that platform or do anything with it, which is probably where it ought to be. So not only did she merge it and it's like, okay, great. Now, if anyone needs something, good luck helping them. She's now like training everybody and she's the go-to person for that. She's training people on the ground to be comfortable with it. And I don't need to know even how it works. And awesome.
Nice. I think I was just at a lunch earlier today, room full of entrepreneurs, business people, ministry leaders. And and everyone's kind of sharing what they do and why they do it and giving their pitch for what's going on. And so they invited me to share a little bit. The facilitator is a client, so I get to just kind of say, how does this help you? And I get to kind of just interview him for a minute. But one of the things that the reaction people have in the room is, oh, that'd be nice. That sounds good. That'd be nice. That probably won't happen for me though. I think that sounds like somebody else's life.
Yeah.
Probably won't happen for me. Is that kind of how you felt?
Yes. I've tried to get church people to take over certain things, especially areas that are just outside of my area of competence.
Yeah.
And like, they want to do a good job to the point where like they need to be set up well and they want to know what the expectation is. And it's something that I just am the wrong person to be equipping them with. And we don't have anything set up already that I can like welcome them into. So I typically just haven't invited them into, and like they're not able to use their gifts because like I can't bridge that. And one thing that from the very beginning, Katie, like when she takes on a project, she takes ownership of it, which is great because that has been a hesitancy for me to take extra things on because I know I can't own that. And if I have in the past and I'm a terrible owner of that thing, it's going to go horribly wrong. So a big thing is her taking ownership and me trusting that and letting her just like do what's necessary to communicate in whichever way she needs for people to feel welcomed and like they have a role on the team.
So because she's remote, right? So she's
Yep.
not there on Sunday. She's not shaking hands, kissing babies. What's people's reaction, like who have interacted with her and then they realize, oh, she's not here physically?
That's a great question. I think it helps in like 2026 where that's more Zoom's more of a thing.
Right.
But I think part of it is that she's so comfortable. I think she's comfortable. She's willing to.
Got an emergency alert, California.
Uh-oh.
National weather, tornado warning.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You got one.
This is no way.
She's comfortable, like in our conversations, even this week, like, hey, who typically oversees our kids' check-in? Something like that. We're trying to figure it out. I can give them the names, and now she's like, well, do you think I could reach out to him? And so initiates a lot of those conversations.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm able to let the guys, hey, expect a phone call from Katie. She helps do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and sometimes she just initiates, and she doesn't scare people. She's right. So on board and she takes ownership and she wants the church to win that I think it's easy for people to work with her.
It helps when there's buy-in from the person who's supporting. Like, I like this mission. I want this organization to win. I want this ministry to win. I want this business to win because I believe in what it's doing. So that's part of the, obviously part of the matching process for us is making sure that there's alignment with those things.
Yeah.
As you think about, it's really cool. She's reached out. She's become sort of like a communicator who will initiate with people. That's awesome. As you think about what are if any, hurdles that you've had to overcome in this sort of setup, what would those be?
There's some context things that for sure are just there, where it would be nice if I didn't have to fill in the different context of, sometimes these conversations like, hey, who are you talking to? This is a total people person, or, hey, this person is starting not happy about this change. Those things, like if she was in the room, she could like sense some of those.
Yeah.
Not just knowing a name, not knowing whatever that could be is a piece of reality. But I think we've kind of learned a rhythm where like, hey, she'll reach out to somebody and I can give her a 30-second snapshot of kind of what to expect on the other side. And I think that just helps things go a lot smoother.
Like, who is this person? What's the context of the relationship? What's the history of their involvement? How would they traditionally react to things? Like, just a few little key points will help her be prepared for the communication and how she should approach that. That's huge. It's huge. And then that understanding and context build over time as she continues to interact with people. So that's awesome. You actually introduced me to a buddy of yours who was possibly needing some help or something a while back. Why would you think you're talking to somebody, they're talking about their life, their business, their ministry. Why would you think, oh, I should introduce them to Micah or into this world?
I think the biggest thing is like, I didn't know that, to your point earlier, I heard you talking. I was like, oh, wouldn't that be nice? And I did think the same thing, but I don't even know what I need. So of course that wouldn't be a great fit right away. And I feel like you solved a huge problem with introducing Katie to me and to Journey in our context. And it just made everything click right away. The thing that was awesome is she is part of a church plant before. She's been doing this in a small church before. I could say, hey, we do this. And she knew the right questions to ask about things I didn't communicate, but like, oh, I'm glad you asked that question. She knew that. And it just like saved a ton of undoing things. And just what little you knew about her context, you knew enough to match that right. And so to my buddy who's just struggling about some certain things, who doesn't even know, trying to solve his problem himself, like how do I hire or bring someone on? I feel like just the acceleration that happens when you can hire someone on third base who's perhaps been in the industry. This is just, they're ready to step in and they're already good to go. That was huge. And especially like someone who's struggling and feels like I don't have the bandwidth to then go try to hire. That's a reality piece that I felt like you solved. And when she came in, she was like ready to help. And I've noticed that there is training that happens behind the scenes, because she'll show up with fresh questions, fresh perspective, things that she's been made aware of that just like in that field, she's continually developing, and which strengthens our team and all that stuff. So I just think it's a great asset for anybody who's doesn't have the time or the understanding, or like, where am I going to find this person? That's a great, unique thing, partnering with Dream Sport.
Yeah, we're unique for sure. Boutique, unique, whatever you want to call it, for sure. We have a personal approach to every match. And like you said, we have training that is ongoing, opportunities to level up together. Because we have a community of people across the U.S. who are learning constantly from whoever they're serving and whatever context they're in and the industry they're in and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that came up recently in one of our group calls is, because we've had our pulse on and we've been watching different AI tools and things and experimenting with stuff for years. But one thing that's developing is this problem that some people are starting to face, where they're treating their AI as a real person and they're trusting its advice and output over anyone else in their life. And so a couple of our EAs brought that up as concerns they have for the leaders they're working with. And so we started working on a framework for how to work with your leader, utilizing together with AI. Like, how do you work within this framework? Because everyone's going to be using it in some way. How much trust we put into it, what kind of parameters we put on that, how do we make sure that the human element is elevated and AI is a adjacent part of that, not the apex of that. Anyway, we're working on that too, just from those conversations. Like, well, here's something I'm experiencing. One of our assistants was expressing it, so we started working on it. But yeah, those things are happening behind the scenes as well. Tell us just for a minute, like, talk about because there could be somebody out here who's a leader who's considering, like, I need some kind of coaching. I'm considering ministry. I'm thinking about church planning. Like, I don't know. There could be someone out there who's thinking about those things, and you're deeply involved in these things. Give the 2-minute plug for those.
I mean, they're all kind of different.
They are. So just do one at a time.
Yeah. I would just say the plug is whatever it is that you're feeling called to, dip your foot in the water, and you're going to figure it all out along the way. You're not going to know anything, your initial game plan isn't going to take you very far before you rebuild it. And at half the time you'll just stop and like, I don't even want to rebuild this. I want to start from scratch. And it's like, just do something and you'll figure it out, which I don't even know what I'm doing today. I have no idea what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But we're building on the iteration that we're working on based on where we've come from and where we're attempting to go. So I would just say, do it, take a step. I would say coaching, if you're like considering a coach, I would say is similar to like bringing on an EA. Whatever help you think it will bring is probably just a fraction of what is actually out there and the possibilities, and how much just wind in your sail that it will just free up so much head space, which turns into like peace and physical energy and all that stuff. Just to like bring someone else on your team who's 100% for you, who you don't have to impress. You're just asking them, hey, help me build this, help me get to here. And I've been surprised every time how willing and how helpful a lot of people are.
Awesome. Yeah. If somebody was curious, if they're like, I like how Tim talks, he's very chill. He's California. I'm a little West Coast. I like that chill. And I really need someone in my corner to ask me critical questions and help push me. Where would they find you?
At timpearring.com is my coaching. That'd be the place to go. And I specifically, I do one-on-one coaching, but kind of the flagship thing I offer is helping people hit a goal. That's one of my life goals, is to help 1,000 people accomplish their goals.
There you go.
And so quarterly, I hold these cohorts, and my job is to ensure that you actually complete your goal in that 90 days. And everyone who shows up every week to the 55-minute call hits their goal. And it's just so fun for me, cheering them on.
That's awesome. That's really cool. How many people have you helped so far? You said you have a goal for 1,000. How many have you helped?
Probably, I don't have the exact number, but in the 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
On your way.
On my way. Yeah.
On your way. Great. Well, I'd be happy to link that up so that anybody could click over to you if they should want to do that. Any other thing you would want to communicate to anyone who's considering like maybe getting an executive assistant or anything like that?
One thing that really that I never even thought of, because I just picture, okay, an assistant, they're here to help, even though they're virtual. But like the thing that I underestimate all the time is Katie, she's awesome, but she also is totally willing to go figure anything out and go learn. She's totally willing to dive into AI and try to like generate whatever it is that I need, even if I don't even know what it is.
Yep.
This probably isn't fair, but like she has her husband who's a genius who can like help, she asks him for help. And then she's got the whole dream support team, which she's got access to people who have specialties. And so if she doesn't know, she's like quick to, let me ask some people and get back to you. And that's huge. Like just extending the network to a new degree that I don't even know. I haven't met these people, but through her, we have access to a whole nother team that I wouldn't even know exists. So I would just say it's bigger than just a teammate. It's that plus the network, which just adds a ton of momentum to it.
Totally. Well, thanks for saying that. I do think that's an undervalued asset, is the idea of that network, that people resource one another, that at our fingertips and at our dials of our phone and all that, we have the ability to talk to someone who's probably been there, probably solved the same problem. Maybe we can learn from them. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And if we do reinvent the wheel and it works out really well, I want them to share it with everyone else and tell everyone else what happened and why it was great. Because that's a great learning as well.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. I got to make sure we don't get hit by a tornado. I got family popping in going.
There's one on the way.
Did you hear that? The warning? My son's texting me. He probably heard the ding. Like he's at school. So I got to figure out what's going on here. But thanks for being on the pod. I appreciate you, Tim. Happy to connect anytime. And I'll probably see you at a future Accelerate event.
Right on. Appreciate it, Micah.
Well, I just want to close an open loop that's in your brain. And it's, was there a tornado and are they okay? Yes, we are okay. And no, there was not a tornado that touched down in my area, although rumors of one have floated around. And we have our kids and everything's all good. I hope that you enjoyed the podcast. If you want to get in contact with Tim, you're thinking about maybe I need one of those 90-day sprints for a goal that I'm trying to do. Maybe I want to talk to him about church planting. Maybe I want to talk to him about having a big family or whatever it is. If you have a reason you want to contact him, his details are below. If you're thinking about getting a remote executive assistant, we'd love to be the place to help resource you in that. I'd love to just have a short 15-minute discovery call with you to help discern whether we're a good fit for you and just understand the needs that you're hoping to fulfill. But if not, subscribe, share, let somebody else enjoy this content, because somebody out there needs to hear what Tim had to say, and we'll get some hope from it. Remember, you dream, we support. Can't wait to see you next time. God bless.